Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange hosts its annual prize-giving ceremony. Members of the Shouter Baptist faith prepare to celebrate liberation to worship, and a call for more persons to be educated about financial investments. Thank you for joining us. As we celebrate the 62nd anniversary of the repeal of the Shouter Prohibition Act and the 17th anniversary of Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day, His Excellency President Anthony Carmona says we do so with the confident awareness that the Constitution of our nation protects both freedom of conscience and religious belief and observance and freedom of association and assembly. He also says anniversaries such as these should serve as sobering but important reminders to us all that we must be sensitive to social injustice wherever it exists or threatens to exist within our nation. The President says the message of the Spiritual Baptist is one of resilient perseverance. In his message to the nations, he recalls as a boy growing up in Faizabad, Palo Seco, and Los Bajos, where the spiritual Shouter Baptist community was a prominent feature in community life. Meanwhile, as members of the Shouter Baptist faith prepare to celebrate liberation to worship, head of the organization, Elders of the Faith, alongside Archbishop Gray Burke, take a look back at where the faith has come and where it's going.
While members of the Shouter Baptist faith gather this weekend to observe the liberation to worship and express themselves, celebrating this achievement is just one of the many milestones accomplished by this community. Long-standing member of the faith and elder in its organization, Lennox Smith, says the commemoration of this occasion represents the coming to pass of a vision held in the hearts of many.
It has increased by several folds, one, and secondly, in terms of the development, I think when we look at the primary school that we have now, when you look at the empowerment center, when we look at the emphasis on sports, and of course making statements of a social nature, even though it may impact on religion in terms of moral and spiritual values and so on. I think from that perspective, the religion has grown. The fact of the matter is that we are now on the inter-religious organization board speaks volumes, because at one time I think that would have considered taboo for representation on the national interreligious organization in Trinidad, and therefore those are some of the achievements. And of course I think the icing on the cake really at this point in time is the primary school, and of course there's a further effort to attempt to move towards secondary education as well. And as you know, we already have our kindergarten or early childhood center as well, organized and of course up and running.
But apart from this is the appreciation of this faith that was born and bred here in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the few religions to originate here and now have outposts reaching as far as the United States and within the Caribbean.
It has expanded in terms of the diaspora. Archbishop has been out there in Europe, in the United States, and of course among our Caribbean brothers. So the word is being spread. In fact, Trinidad is recognized internationally as the Mecca, or should I say the Vatican of the spiritual Shouter Baptists in the world, because as you know, as Archbishop would tell you repeatedly, that the religion is an indigenous one, is the only indigenous one really. It came from nowhere else, so therefore it was created right here, and we are extremely proud to be part and parcel of that.
Fundamental to the growth and expanse of this ministry is head of the organization, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, who has long fought and persevered for its recognition here at home. During this year's celebrations, focus is expected to be placed on her strength, alongside with the many other women who have played a pivotal role in spreading and upholding the faith's pillars through the example they have set. As elder in the spiritual Shouter Baptist community, Clayton Blackman says the establishment of the principles were done under their leadership, and the time to recognize them had come.
Their defined roles and responsibilities. However, as is international, you have women at the helm and actually taking role leads within these organizations. And we can see it through the Council of Elders. And they have actually done what the men have refused to do, which is actually lead the organization. As a member of the planning committee, I would say that under the leadership of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, the organization is poised strategically.
This year's occasion marks 1 year since the opening of its own primary school. Another accomplishment its people can boast. Archbishop Gray Burke notes the role this will play in the future of the faith.
We were banned outlaw for 34 years, and then it takes 44 years for us to obtain a national holiday. So we are educating our young spiritual shouter Baptists on the tenets of the faith.
Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Persons of various religious beliefs and backgrounds gathered at the LRC, where there was a positive exchange of knowledge and experiences. We tell you more in this story.
The University of the West Indies Learning Resource Centre provided the perfect opportunity to host a panel discussion on One World, One Reality. The event was hosted by the Indian High Commission to Trinidad and Tobago as part of its commemoration of the 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. According to the Indian High Commissioner, the intent of the panel discussion and other such events was to keep the conversation ongoing on the powerful message which the Swami offered to the world.
His purpose was to take some aspect of Indian civilization and culture to the West, to educate the West, to bring them some spiritual values, and in turn seek their support for the impoverished masses of whom he was a part. That was his simple idea. Of course, going there, he felt that the West was a lot more impoverished than what India was. So that part of actually collecting funds, material funds for the people of India, that regressed in the background. And he then became a teacher of countless people in America, in England, also on the other side in Japan. Wherever he went, he became a teacher.
The High Commissioner said the values that the Swami taught were those he learned from his teachers in India and also from his experiences. These very values were spread across the globe and today still hold significant meaning. The panel comprised of Pandita Dr. Indrani Ramprasad, President of the Hindu Women's Organization, Dr. Fazal Ali, Acting President of UTT, and Father Anthony Bashka Jayasilan, MSFS RC Church Maruga. There was also an exhibition of books, pictures and posters so that attendees could further explore the teachings they were privy to. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. The Ministry of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprise Development, together with the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, NEDCO, has developed the IBIS program. It's the aim of government to provide a unique mix of business development processes tied in with training as well as financing to position citizens on the path to self-sustainability, while at the same time growing communities and the wider economy.
Putting your creativity to work for you and earn cash rewards. For years, this has sounded so difficult to achieve. Today, this can now be a reality through IBIS, the National Integrated Business Incubation System offered through NEDCO, the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited. IBIS provides much more than financial support, but guidance in starting up and growing one's business. It also gives the insight and training needed for sustaining enterprises long term. Spearheading this is Labour Minister Errol MacLeod, who explains how IBIS operates.
People need to go to the NEDCO office, and we have NEDCO offices spread out almost throughout the country. And there are application forms, all right? They would meet with some expert, quote unquote, who would discuss with them whatever their ideas might be and set them on a path of determining the kind of business plan that they ought to develop. That business plan is then examined by a special committee at the level of NEDCO, and if they feel convinced that this is going to go somewhere, okay, the applicant is provided with seed funding, he's provided with mentorship, he's provided with operationalization of the business and so on. Now, that is the normal small business enterprise. Insofar as IBIS is concerned, people are selected and they are put through a training period.
This aims at enhancing economic development in rural areas through fostering entrepreneurial business thinking through the incubation process. Chairman of NEDCO, Natasha Ramkisoon, explains what this incubation process means.
Basically, we would provide services of a virtual office. We would also supply actual physical space for manufacturing. We will also provide space for you to have your office to conduct sales, etc. So it's a way of bringing entrepreneurship within a community and training you and giving you these tools to be successful.
Two kinds of incubators are provided. One, the community-based business incubator, and two, the commercial business incubator. Community-based incubators seek to leverage business activities based on resources that target the community, which aim at achieving a social objective such as unemployment, alleviation, and poverty reduction. Commercial incubators are geared towards high value and high growth that target national economic transformation. There are 6 stages of the business incubation process: 1, candidate selection; 2, orientation skills; 3, development; 4, business proposal; 5, business incubation; and 6, post-incubation. The opening of the newest NEDCO office in Penal is proof of its expansion and support it aims to provide to every budding business person. Clients entering the IBIS are provided with mentor support as part of the program.
An interesting part of the IBIS program as well is that we have a pool of mentors, business leaders in the field in various sectors. And as part of this program, you are assigned a mentor on a one-on-one basis for a period of 6 months. And they liaise with you, so you get that real-life experience as well. So we're really hoping to provide you the tools, couple that with your own determination and passion for business, and we believe that's the winning formula.
IBIS is aligned with the Framework for Sustainable Development Agenda, which targets Pillar 2, poverty eradication and social justice, preference for the poor and disadvantaged, and Pillar 5, a more diversified, knowledge-intensive economy, creating additional business opportunities that will ultimately ensure economic diversification. Keep viewing to find out how you can access the IBIS program. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Mr. C. Wainwright, says more persons need to be educated about financial investments if the stock market is in this country is to successfully grow and expand. He made the comment as the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission held the prize-giving ceremony for its investor education competition.
Investment in the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange shouldn't only be undertaken by mature and retired folks, but also by young men and women. This is the message being sent to secondary and tertiary level graduates by the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. The Commission held the prize-giving ceremony for its annual Investor Education Competition. The competition is held in partnership with the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited and targeted the youth of Trinidad and Tobago between the ages of 18 to 25 years. Speaking at the ceremony, CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Mr. C. Wainwright Iton, urged the young people to become educated about investments as they will soon be the ones with the resources to help expand the stock market.
Because in a couple of years, you're going to be the ones with significant disposable income and you're going to have to make investment decisions. And you can only make wise investment decisions if you're well informed, if you're educated. Hence, the critical importance of investor education.
Mr. Aiton says the competition put on by the Securities and Exchange Commission is important as it assists in investor education.
Investor education is fundamental to market development. Fundamental in the sense that we have two primary objectives at the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. And that is growth in the number of investors and growth in the number of issuers that we have represented on our boards. And without educated investors, that task becomes so much more difficult. So that we see investor education as central, perhaps the most critical ingredient in market development. And certainly we'd want to be devoting a greater percentage of our resources to that particular function.
Mr. Aiton says the stock exchange also does what it can to improve investor education, particularly among young people.
A number of secondary schools come to the stock exchange on a regular basis, and they have an opportunity to see how the market operates. We have, it's a computerized market, and they can actually observe the trades when they take place. We give them a description of what we do, how we do, the role of the exchange in national development. So we bring the students in, and they have a good opportunity to interface with members of the exchange staff. They can ask questions and be better informed as to what, how the market operates, what's the index, what's price appreciation, why it makes sense to invest in the market to begin with. And we don't for a moment fail to inform everybody, beginning with the students, that an investment in the stock exchange is an investment in a risky class of assets. It's not a deposit in the bank.
The winners of the competition included 2 graduates from the Arthur Lockjack School of Business and 3 secondary school students from Fatima College, Holy Faith Convent, and St. Joseph's Convent. The winners received Samsung Galaxy tablets, cash prizes, and checks from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
When we come back, we take you on a journey to a peaceful yet exciting tropical mangrove. Stay with us. The spectacular wildlife offered by the southern side of this country leaves one in absolute amazement. Our cameras took an extensive tour of the Sudama boating facilities at Woodland, which according to Oropouche West MP Stacey Rupnarine is one of the most potential tourist attractions in the area.
One can look forward to the best of nature, the most tranquil and soothing journey through the peaceful yet exciting tropical mangrove forest tucked away in the deep Southland. This new-cut channel, a river in the Oropouche West constituency, is expected to be transformed into a tourism site quite soon. Tourists and even locals will have the opportunity to experience a boat tour through the exciting and spectacular red tropical mangroves. The melodious chorus, being sung by choir members of a wide variety of birds, can be heard echoing through the dense mangrove vegetation, while the huge caimans relax and enjoy the peaceful waters. This can all be found at the Sudama boating facility at Woodland. Birds such as the scarlet IBIS can be seen in all their glory, hovering around and enjoying an afternoon stroll. The white cattle egrets are also quite common here, as well as the majestic blue heron. This caiman frantically got out of the water as our boat approached. we beheld the massive body which stood before us in all its majesty. We could tell that he was involved in some form of struggle from his damaged tail and bruises about the body. His short stroll on the river bank ended suddenly when he immersed himself into the water once again and swam away from our boat. A dense population of oysters is also very prevalent in the mangrove forest. This type of oyster is found attached to hard surfaces like rocks, other shells, or submerged wood, very much like these mangrove spikes. Several of them are found attached to one another in a cluster. However, where such hard attachment sites are not available, you can also find them simply lying flat on the bottom. Do not be misguided, for this area is not in any way only dominated by wildlife. The presence of man is quite prevailing as well. Individuals take advantage of the opportunity to relax, bathe, and catch fish such as recando, brochet, and catfish in the river. Tour guide Roland Binder says the area has great potential for tourism with the stunning ambience it provides.
This rare tropical mangrove forest exists only in the Urput swamp, not in the River swamp, nor even in the Caroni swamp. It exists strictly in this Urput swamp. As a matter of fact, it is two of a kind in the world. One here in Trinidad, the other is at Belize. It is totally unknown to locals in Trinidad here. What we do require is the locals and foreigners to venture into it as a tourist attraction so that they will be able to learn much more of this rare tropical mangrove forest and will enhance our tourist industry in the future. In addition to that, there is a lot of birds here in existence. One here basically mainly is our scarlet ibis. There are flocks of over thousands in existence over here. As we go further out, we will be able to actually see some of these ibis in existence over here. We are in the existence of a really beautiful region here in Trinidad. Actually, we Trinidadians need to know much more about our country here. Little do we know of this rare tropical mangrove forest which actually exists in this swamp here.
The sunset effect on the calm water through the dense mangrove forest is also an amazing sight. The thrilling experience is made even more exciting with the heavenly moonlight shining through the overpowering trees. This, coupled with the echoes of the wild birds through the darkness, creates the ultimate adventure. Urput West MP Stacey Roopnarine reveals plans to have a tourism tour package arranged for this area.
The Tirat site going into the Newcut Channel. Yes, the Honourable Minister of Tourism was here when we had the Minister Griffith as the Minister of Tourism. And we visited those sites. We looked at it, we looked at some of the plans and so on. And I did have conversations with the new Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Stephen Cadiz. I've since passed that plans on to him, as well as TDC, the board and their management. They also have plans. As a matter of fact, TDC went on a boat tour with us. Aside from the Honourable Minister visiting, TDC did a full boat tour. And even they admitted that there is serious potential. So at this stage, the challenge is really getting the investment into a project of that nature.
But this is not just a potential tourism site. Fishermen who have lived all their lives in this area have depended on the waters of this river to bring in their daily bread and fish perhaps. They are, however, looking forward to the speedy delivery of lighting facilities among countless other developments to the area that will enable them to ply their trade with less discomfort. Vuna Bharat, News 4.
And that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito, and on behalf of all of us here at News 4, a happy, holy and safe holiday weekend. Thank you for watching.